Hey guys, and happy Sticky Tuesday. So, for today's DIY, you don't want to drop your bottle, but you're going to need a 2-liter bottle, some school glue, some cotton twine from the Dollar Tree, and some Mod Podge, and a bowl to mix the glue in. So, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your glue. Do not ask me why I took the lid off and then put it back on because I knew I was going to pour it out. So, I don't know why I did that. But you're going to take your glue, you're going to pour it into the bowl. And then you are going to add some Mod Podge. I don't have a ratio, I just kind of poured it in there and went with it. I do not know, excuse me, my throat is really scratchy today. I don't know why I was trying to take the plastic off of that bottle either. Anyway, so you just go ahead, put some Mod Podge, add some Mod Podge to the glue, and then you are going to mix it up. I just had this little piece of stick left over from something, so that's what I'm using to mix it up. And once you are done doing that, you're going to want some gloves, or yeah, you're going to need some gloves. This is a warning. This is a very messy project, but my goodness, the outcome was, I love it. So you're going to need some gloves. Now, I'm going to give you another tip to learn from my mistake. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure out all your cotton twine. And I used the cotton twine because it kind of saturated the glue better. Didn't have a whole lot of, you know how the twine has like all the little hairs sticking out. Didn't have all that, and it worked really well. So here's where I made my mistake. I cut the one piece, then I started using the glue. Big mistake. Cut all your twine to begin with, so that you don't get glue all over your scissors, all over the yarn, all over the twine. It got everywhere. I got it on, it was everywhere. So learn from my mistakes, cut your twine in advance, and then start the glue process. But it's Sticky Tuesday, so I guess it goes it goes right with the theme here. So anyway, so what you do is the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take one piece of twine, stick it into the glue, and then you're just going to take your fingers and kind of take some of the glue off of it. You don't want the glue dripping all over the place, but you do want it saturated. And then you're going to take the glue and you're going to wrap it around like right below the rim of the bottle so that you have a ring on the top. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut a bunch of pieces, and how, the length of the pieces kind of depends on how big you want this to be. And so yeah, so you just kind of go with how big you want the piece to be. And I think the way that I cut them was I just cut it right to the end. That way I kind of had a guideline there. So then again, you just take the twine and you just put it in the glue, move it around, make sure it's all saturated. Take your fingers, wipe off some of the excess glue. You still want some glue on there. You just don't want it ridiculously saturated where it's dripping all over the place. So then you are going to just start gluing or placing them on the bottle, one end attached to the ring that you made on the top. And if you didn't guess by my picture in my thumbnail, we are going to be making a birdcage cloche. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go all the way around, and I'm not going to show you me doing that because it's kind of monotonous. And then you are just going to let this sit overnight. Now, tip number 2, you're going to stretch, you're going to straighten it out, make sure everything, oh, I forgot a piece. So then once you are done putting all this in there, putting all these parts on there. I'm sorry, words are hard today, so I'm sorry about that. You're going to take a piece of twine and you're going to measure it to go around the bottle again. So you're going to put the glue on there, and then you're going to take that piece of twine and you're going to wrap it around the bottom. So this is going to turn into the base of your little cloche so that it can fit on whatever you're going to use as the base of your cloche. But this is going to go around the bottom. That way you'll have something for it to kind of be sturdy and stand on. And you're just going to wrap that around the bottom. And I used the extra piece of twine that I had cut before just to give it a little bit extra, and I went around the bottom of it with that. So once you're done doing that, you just kind of go through, make sure all of the pieces are straight and they're where you want them to be. And and then you just let it sit and you let it dry overnight. Now, tip number 2, you're going to want to put an extra coat of glue over it to make it just a little bit more sturdy. Now, you can do that at this point and just end up letting it dry again, or you can paint it and then put another coat of glue and let that dry. But you're going to want that extra coat just to make it a little bit more sturdy, a little more durable. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to separate the twine from the bottle. And some of the pieces did kind of come apart from the little base there, and that's fine. We'll put those back on with some hot glue. It's not a big deal. But you don't want all of them to come off because you still need that. You still need the cage to be, a cage. But some of them are going to come off, and that's fine. So then what I did was I ended up taking my scissors and I cut the bottle, and I cut all the way to the top. And the top of the bottles are just a little bit thicker. So what I did was I took my wood burning tool and I burned the top of it off, or I melted the top of it off so that it was just a little bit shorter, and it made it so much easier for me to get that top portion off of it. But again, you're just going to go through, you're going to separate the plastic from the twine. And this is kind of tedious and it does take a little bit of time. So, just be patient. It's well worth it, I promise. So again, you're going to go through, do all of this. And I thought I cut some more of this out, but apparently I didn't. And I just wanted to make sure that you saw, that I was able to take it out and it wasn't, that hard. So once you're doing, you're done doing all of this, my little ring on the bottom came off. No big deal. Again, you're going to be able to hot glue that back on, so it's not a big deal. So again, I went ahead and I took my wood burning tool and I made a ring around the top and took that top piece off. It just made it so much easier for me to take it off of the plastic because it was just giving me a hard time. So it made it a lot easier. And if you don't have a wood burning tool, I know everybody doesn't, you can cut through this like with what's it called, a box cutter. It takes a little bit longer and it's a lot harder, but it's just an extra step that you might want to take just to make sure. Or you can do this in advance actually if you want to. You can cut that off to begin with. I didn't think it was going to be a problem until when I started to take the bottle off. So anyway, so now you're just going to go through and take the top off. It was hard because I put a lot of glue. I put so much glue on it because I didn't want it to come apart. And some of them, like I said, still ended up coming apart, but no big deal. You're able to fix this with some hot glue afterwards. So it's not a big deal. And I ended up burning some of the glue on there. So it was kind of sticking to the twine, but I was able to get it off. So as you can see, you still have the structure. It still looks like a bird cage. So now comes the part that took me forever, was cleaning off all the excess glue that was kind of just stuck to it. So then after I cut like the big parts of it, I took, I don't even know what grit the sandpaper is, but it's not very, I don't know. I don't know what grit it is, but then I just kind of took it and went over every one of these pieces of twine to get the excess off because there was a lot of glue stuck to it. Like I said, this was a messy, very tedious project, but I love it, so it was worth it. And I just take my little desk vacuum. I love this thing. I will link it in the description box. It's amazing. So I took that, got off took all the glue that kind of came off, cleaned it up. All right. So then you take that bottom ring base that fell off, you get some hot glue, and you just start gluing all of the, I don't know what they're called, all the parts of the cage to the base so that you can get that circular shape, obviously. And it was easy. It, didn't take a whole lot of glue. You just put a very small dab of glue on there and it sticks perfectly. And you're going to do this all the way around until you have the shape that you want. Now, next thing that you're going to do is work on the top part because some of those kind of came loose and you want to make sure that everything, sticks on. And you also lost some, you may have lost a few of the pieces of twine, so you want to glue those back on. And again, you just kind of go through. I had to adjust a couple of them because some of the spacing was off. So I did have to like pull a couple of them off and then adjust it and, just put them in where they belong. You had to respace it, and it wasn't a big deal. They came off fairly easily, and they glued back on perfectly fine. So it's a very forgiving project. You're able to kind of make adjustments as you need to. So it's a very forgiving project. So then the next thing after you fix all of those and you put all the little legs back on is you're going to cut off the excess pieces below the ring at the bottom. And you can also add another ring further up if you want to. You can do different shapes if you want to. This to me was the easiest and it's the shape that I wanted, so that's why I went with this, went this way, this route. So then, the next thing that you are going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to put a little dab of hot glue on at the end of every one of these. So today's DIY is part of the Sticky Tuesday challenge. It's hosted by Kiki DIYs and Deco Easy. So definitely go check out their channels. The information will be in the description box along with the playlist. So be sure to go check them out. And if you are coming over from the playlist, thank you so much for stopping by. And if you like what you see here, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you're so inclined, hit that subscribe button. And for all my returning subscribers, thank you so much. You know I appreciate you. So, next thing you're going to do is you are going to paint it. Now, you can leave it white if you want to. I chose to paint it. Now, if you are in an area that you can spray paint, that would probably, excuse me, be a lot easier and faster. But it is like 11 degrees below zero here, so I cannot spray paint outside. And I'm in my basement, so it's not ventilated enough. But anyway, this works fine if you don't have spray paint or you can't spray paint where you are. You just have to keep going over it with the black paint or, like I said, whatever color you want. And it works just fine. And now this is kind of where I noticed that it was going to need like an extra coat. Obviously the paint is wet, so some of the stability and the sturdiness of it kind of went away once I painted it. So again, my suggestion would be to paint it or spray paint it and then add another coat of like another layer of glue, and you could just easily take a paintbrush and just paint it over the piece over the whole thing again, and then just let that dry overnight. You don't want to do anything with it. You don't want to mess with it. You want it to completely dry before you start doing anything else with it. So yeah, so you just go ahead and, like I said, you do the whole thing inside and out, and this is what it looks like when it's done. And again, this is just me painting it with a brush and paint. So once you do that, some of the little hairs and stuff kind of end up, or not the hairs, what am I talking about? Some of the glue is still kind of on the twine, and once you paint it, you can really see it. So I just went through with my little detail scissors and just kind of cut off any of that excess paint, excess glue that was kind of painted, and you can really see it once you paint it. So it's a lot easier to kind of, get to, and you can see where it's at. So that's all I did was I took my little detail scissors and got all of the excess glue off of there. And I mean, it's inevitable. You're messing with glue and yarn and with twine, so you're gonna have the little strays or whatever. All right, so you clean up your mess there, and again, I'm using my little vacuum, and once I'm done doing that, it's time to put the topper on my cage. So I have this little bin full of shapes, and I have these circle round pieces that I thought I had like just a little bit bigger one, but it may be somewhere else. But this one here worked fine. I was going to use a bigger one and it looked kind of crazy, so I decided not to use that one. So I went ahead and I was going to cut a piece from like a foam board just a little bit bigger. I didn't feel like going through all that trouble, and this worked out fine. So what I did just to make it a little bit bigger was I took a piece of rope and I wrapped it around the edge of the wood round or the wood piece there. And that gave me that extra, width that I needed to cover up the top there so that the piece from the bird cage can stick onto the wood or stick onto the topper. And if, like I said, if you don't have these wood rounds, you can definitely use foam board or cardboard or anything, like that, maybe like a cap from a bottle, a milk jug or something like that. Anything round that you can kind of just put on top would work fine. You can paint it and it'll work. So then I'm gonna find a knob that I want to put on top of my little wood round there. And I have all types of, I'm telling you, shapes and sizes and wood pieces that I've collected over the years. I love collecting this type of stuff, so I have tons of it. And it was just a matter of finding one that I like the shape of and that I thought was going to look cute on there. And then once I find the piece that I'm going to use, I take my Waverly Antique Wax and just give the wood round a coat, and then I give the little wood knob a coat of the Waverly Antique Wax. You can paint, again, this is your project. You can paint it, you can stain it, you can do whatever you want, whatever colors you want. If you want it to be more shabby chic, you can leave it white and paint all this stuff white. If you want it to be more farmhouse, you can actually, this would work good for farmhouse too, the wood with the black. Um, Anything, you can paint it silver. You can do whatever you want to do and it would look great. You can put a ring up here, like a shower ring instead of a wood knob if you don't have one. So there's a lot of options. So this is what it looks like when it's done. Sorry, I'm off the camera shot there. This is what it looks like. So then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some hot glue, go around the bottom of the topper, and then I'm going to glue that onto the little cage. And it was easy enough. I turned it upside down so I could kind of see, where it landed, and then I just pushed it on there. Be careful because it's going to be hot. And I did burn my finger, but it's okay. So then I considered putting like another little wood round underneath it, but it stuck perfectly, so I didn't feel the need. And then once you are done doing that, you're going to find your base. Now, I found a couple of bases at my local thrift store recently. They were in my recent haul. I'll put that in the description box as well if I remember to. And this one was actually perfect. I didn't have to do anything to it. It fit this piece perfectly. Now, if you don't have any wood rounds, these little plastic plates are from the party section at the Dollar Tree. You can paint them, make them look like wood or white or whatever color you want. And then you just decorate it however you want to. See how it fits on there perfectly? And guys, that is my Sticky Tuesday DIY. I hope you guys are inspired to make one or do something similar. And if you do, be sure to hit me on Instagram and show me what you did with it. And until next time, guys, be blessed and be the reason someone smiles. Bye, guys.